What's happening, team? Moody Dark Tones editing in Lightroom, and how to use subject isolation techniques to make objects separate from the background and jump right off the page. So welcome back to the channel, guys. Now, my last video on dark tones editing did so well that I thought I'd make another video on the subject, but this time taking things even further, using all of the newest features from Lightroom's latest update, and specifically how to isolate a subject from the rest of the scene. Let's begin using a Ferrari image kindly donated by Oliver Lundy Photography. You may have seen this guy featured on my channel before. He's one of the top automotive photographers out there. I'll start off by desaturating all of the individual colors from the image. And this trains our eyes to see what colors are going to be important and which will be unnecessary. Obviously, the red is the dominant color, but we can see we're missing some other colors on the front wing. I'm guessing at magenta, so let's oversaturate to match the reds at about +30. But also, let's match the hue pushing into the red spectrum and leveling out the reds into the magentas. Sweet. Now let's boost the front wing's luminance to give some shape, and the blue affects the windscreen. And that's a good start. So what's next? I'm going to deliberately underexpose the foreground driveway to give that dark tones quality to the image. Using a linear gradient, I'm going to drag the filter to the top of the car. But before we mess with the exposure, we need to intersect the mask with the subject. And we can see only a gradient of the car is selected, but we actually want a gradient of the foreground minus the car. So let's invert the selection, and now we can drag the exposure all the way down. Maybe a touch of blacks for some punch. Now for some moody atmosphere in the background. Creating a new linear gradient mask, let's just drag the top portion of the image and just overlap with the previous mask. But this time, let's push the dehaze into the negative by about -50. And the same with the clarity and texture. And I think one more gradient in the radial format just to lift the exposure of the sky even more. And that looks pretty moody. But the car isn't quite matching the rest of the image, so let's create a mask just for the car. Using the subject selection, now we can bring down the blacks, the highlights to about the same, and dehaze to really enhance the dark tones. One final mask for the rear of the car using a radial mask, just overlapping with the rear quarter, intersect the mask with the subject, and then invert the mask so the car isn't affected. And we can add some negative dehaze to really make the car separate from the background. One final adjustment to the color grading so it isn't just a red car on a black and white background. Choosing the shadows wheel, I'll introduce some teals into those shadows and darken the luminance of those shadows to finish. Going from a raw image with muddy green foliage in the back to a punchy dark tones sports car edit. And just out of interest, let's just see how these settings sync over to another image using this London bus. Selecting the source image and the bus picture, click sync, and making sure all of the masks I created are selected. And boom, pretty good. I think I'll just reset the luminance on the shadows wheel and also bring the luminance down on those reds because I think they're just a bit too bright. But we can push the saturation up for some deeper reds. And these light streaks from a passing car would probably benefit by bringing back the oranges. And yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Here's another image syncing those original settings from the Ferrari image. So let's see how this works on a street portrait. Start again by desaturating all of the color from the image. And let's bring down the global exposure by just over a stop. Boost the whites to about +40 and the shadows can come down. Same too with the highlights. And because this is a street scene, perhaps some detail using the texture and clarity sliders. Now the gentleman playing the pipes is a little flat, so let's create a mask of him using people select. And pretty good apart from the pipes need to be included in the mask. So using the brush tool, let's just get those bits too. Great. Now let's boost those whites to really make him stand out. And a touch of contrast using the black slider, along with some shadows. Now let's bring some color back into the scene. Some orange skin tones and a touch of blues in his shirt. Looking good. Now for some more mask work. A linear gradient and drag up from the bottom. We'll intersect the mask with the subject, and of course invert the selection so he is not included. And let's drag the exposure slider all the way down. Some blacks again at around -13. Now for a gradient in the background. Overlapping, and we'll once again intersect with the subject, which thankfully includes the microphones as well, which is great. Invert the mask and bring down the exposure by around 3 stops of light. Some shadows and brightening the black hair. Reduce down the clarity, and I think one more gradient for behind his head, just to bring back a little background detail so it doesn't look too unnatural. Intersecting once again with the subject and bringing up the exposure and whites. A spot of color grading in the highlights, adding some greens for that Spanish afternoon grading. Subject isolation in Moody Dark Tones. So let's see a version of dark tone isolation using this marathon runner in amongst a crowd of spectators. So let's get rid of those colors and see which ones we actually need and which we can discard. And of course we need the oranges for the skin tones. And as he is a bumblebee, we'll need those yellows, maybe some magentas, which are usually present in skin tones as well. And same with the reds. But let's change those yellows to a slightly warmer hue. Now for some underexposure. Boost the whites, shadows down, and the same with the highlights. As this is a street scene, again let's give it some grit. So let's sort the foreground. Not forgetting to intersect with the subject, and then we can darken things down. Some blacks. Now for the top gradient. Overlapping with the previous one. Intersect with the subject, but let's remove the effect from the other runners as they're just a distraction. I missed out his foot, but you get the idea. All the usual adjustments. But let's bring back some detail in the sky, which looks a bit unnatural. Using a radial filter, some lift in the exposure, some whites, and one final mask on the main attraction, the bumblebee. And Lightroom detects him pretty well. Some whites, a bit of contrast, and perhaps one more radial filter to blend in the effect with the floor. And that's how we can edit dark tones into images that were taken during the middle of the day. It's all about light manipulation and separation of the important information from the less important. And if you enjoyed what I did here in Lightroom, you'll probably enjoy my new Lightroom preset pack, which I'm currently selling on my website. I'll pop links in the description below. It actually includes some dark tone presets in the pack, so give that a check out. And thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, hitting that little red button below, and I'll catch you next time.